This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Police in a southern Kentucky county went after drug dealers early this morning. Police in Williamsburg say they've been investigating cases for months, and it culminated with a roundup today. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what police did this morning.
Starting early before the sun rose, fanning out to round up suspects accused of dealing drugs, meth and oxycodone.
Woke people up early this morning, turned the heat on, and gave them a place to stay today.
Most were taken to jail where they were charged with trafficking in a controlled substance. Police say selling drugs often leads to other violent crimes and theft.
We're in it to help the people and to get people's property back to them and be a public servant like we're sworn to be.
Police were able to also confiscate some contraband such as cash and some illegal drugs. And they also say that as they were going to arrest one man, as they were serving that warrant, he was literally shooting out drugs into his leg at that very moment. And one arrest led to 3 other arrests on similar crimes. Armed with 15 warrants, 13 were arrested by early this afternoon.
And our mission today is to send a clear message that there's zero tolerance when it comes to distributing the poison that's been distributed in our communities.
Police say 4 suspects were also arrested on unrelated outstanding warrants. In Whitley County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Police say they are still looking for 2 suspects. If you'd like to see a list of all those charged today, we have that on WYMT.com. New information is out regarding a 3-year-old boy who was found dead in Illinois. This is the suitcase the young boy's body was found in. As you can see, it's very distinctive. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says they are also checking national cases for any child that matches the description, but they say the tough part in cases like this is that so many children are not reported missing to begin with, which makes them harder to find.
You know, with this, we have seen other cases where young children have been concealed in different pieces of luggage or blankets or bedding, you know, other things that can kind of conceal the child, but sometimes it's not so much for concealment as it is for that child to be easily transported from where they may have died to where they were then later found.
The boy's autopsy was completed yesterday afternoon. The autopsy did not reveal any obvious cause of death, so Indiana State Police will now rely on toxicology reports to see if the child had drugs in his system when he died. An Ohio woman who was a finance director for a West Virginia airport has pleaded guilty to stealing nearly $50,000 in federal funds from the facility. U.S. Attorney Will Thompson says 46-year-old Melissa Zhu admitted that between May 2020 and January 2021, she stopped depositing all of the money she collected from vending machines at the Huntington Tri-State Airport into airport accounts. She also took money meant to be deposited into ATMs. Hall is scheduled to be sentenced August 15th and faces up to 10 years in prison.
Still watching clouds filter into the region this afternoon as we continue to watch our next system head a little bit closer to the mountains. The good news, at least, it's a whole lot warmer today versus yesterday. High knob camera at UVA-wise. We see the sun still beating down right now, but you notice those high clouds keep moving on in. Mid-60s out there right now. I-75 at London, we're a little cloudier there at the moment, but still a little bit of that sunshine breaking through. Not too bad outside. In fact, right where we should be this time of year, right around 70 or so in just about every spot. The only exceptions, a couple of upper 60s, Pikeville and Clintwood, 66 Logan, and 64 the cool spot as usual in Wise. That's still a good 20 to 25 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, so I'll take it all day long. For us, we've been continuing to watch those clouds increase. There's our next system working into the Mississippi Valley. That's going to slowly make its way in our direction. And eventually, we'll get the air moist enough to actually see some of that rain fall. So keep that WYMT weather app handy. May not happen until late tonight and early tomorrow, but as we fall into the 50s, that's when we'll see the potential for those showers on the increase. I'll have the very latest on when they move in, when they move out, and the 80s in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. The Paintsville-Johnson County Chamber of Commerce hosted the 2022 Legislative Breakfast today, inviting local business owners, officials, and others to hear from some of their representatives, recapping the General Assembly session that recently ended. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more from Staffordsville.
Breaking down some legislation over a little breakfast.
I think it's important for a lot of community leaders to know what goes on in Frankfort.
State representatives joined local leaders from the Paintsville area Wednesday, chatting about some of the decisions from this year's General Assembly.
The fact that we're putting 100% of the coal severance dollars back into to the coal-producing counties at a time when we're seeing a little bit of an uptick in the coal industry. So those additional funds will be helpful towards economic development projects to secure the future of this region.
Senator Philip Wheeler and Representative Bobby McCool, both Republicans, say they were proud of the work done during the session, including the contentious passing of the Save Women's Sports Act and House Bill 3, which tightens abortion efforts in the state.
I think both of those were important legislation that protect important value-laden institutions in the Commonwealth.
Looking locally, they say the biggest moves are focused on infrastructure, giving coal severance money back to the coal-producing counties and kicking off the expansion of US 460 in Paintsville into a 4-lane.
Not only Johnson County, but will open up for Martin County. That gives 4-lane access into Inez. That gives 4-lane access into Louisa. So that's really going to open up the whole region.
Saying it is the work and involvement of the people they represent.
The people's voice is very critical in any kind of progress in any community, and our people in Johnson and Martin have spoken up.
That makes things happen. In Johnson County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Another legislative event is on deck for tomorrow as Big Sandy RECC hosts a similar forum with a few different faces, aiming to get the word out about what is happening in the Commonwealth out into eastern Kentucky counties. The Abraham Lincoln Birthplace National Historical Park is seeking volunteers for its first Park Care Day. The park says the Volunteer Day is being held April 30th at the Lincoln Boyhood Home site at Knob Creek. There will be a variety of projects for volunteers to work on, including planting an interpretive garden. Park staff researched to find heirloom variety seeds close to what the Lincoln family might have grown while living there, and volunteers will plant seeds that include bloody butcher corn, scarlet pole runner beans, and Connecticut field pumpkins. This year's Thunder over Louisville will be a little different than the last few. If you drive to the event this weekend, you are asked to park away from the waterfront and walk. You can ride your bike or scooter to the event. In fact, that's encouraged, but you cannot bring it inside the perimeter. Leave your grills, tents, and glass bottles at home. There are plenty of vendors inside the venue, and they'll be open past the fireworks to help traffic afterwards.
The more we can stagger it, it'll help with the congestion. Just know we will do everything we can to get everyone home safely.
Take a picture of your children before the event. That could come in handy in the event they become lost. There will be first aid and lost child stations on both sides of the river and other safety features too. Dinosaurs will be invading Lexington this summer. Families will get the chance to walk among the nation's biggest herd of dinosaurs when Jurassic Quest opens at the Central Bank Center on June 10th. New this year, families are invited to pick up a map to embark on The Quest, an interactive scavenger hunt style adventure with 10 clues leading them to meet dinos and prehistoric sea creatures. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a look at what you can do if you have questions about your medical bills.
And after a freeze warning last night, we've got high temperatures in the 80s on the way later this week. The very latest is coming up next.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized to the categories you choose. The WYMT News